Hello. So I got some books I think it was just January actually. I think all these books were January, some were in the beginning, some were towards the end. And here's the first one. So The History of the Theory of Numbers. This is a 3-volume series. I have the other volumes here as well. These are the books I got at the beginning of January, and I'm excited to read them. They're basically like number theory books, or like you could say like the history of the theory of numbers. This topic goes over like divisibility and primality. I believe it also goes over multiply perfect, amicable numbers, let's see, division problems, exponents, indices, binomial congruences. Yeah, so basically just a bunch of number theory stuff. I think this one might be the easiest one out of all of them. This is volume 3, quadratic and higher forms. This one is probably going to be the hardest one, I feel like. It's also the shortest, but I think it will take me the most time. So there's this one. This is volume 3. And then volume 2, which is the biggest by like a lot. I think it's like both volumes combined almost, and these other volumes. The Diophantine analysis. This one I think will be the most fun because like it's basically just taking problems and trying to find whole number solutions for the problems. That's really fun. That's more of a straightforward puzzle, which I think number theory is usually just like you do it for puzzles. It's generally speaking, it's just fun. Unless you're in cryptography, there's not a lot of practical uses, I feel like, for number theory. I should probably read a number theory textbook before going through this as well, just to brush up. But yeah, so that's the history. What is it? History and the theory of numbers. I've looked at those for a long time. I've wanted them for a long time, a couple of years now. The deluxe. I got this because I wanted to understand where luxury luxury brands, but more importantly, luxury brand companies, like the companies that are publicly traded that you can invest in. I wanted to understand where they're going. I don't know how it's going to look in the future, and the reason why is because they tend to be pretty decent investments. They're basically luxury brands basically just print cash with not having a lot of liabilities in their assets, usually intangible assets, but their assets is usually huge, and they basically print money because they have a bunch of intangible assets, and it basically just appreciates the equity of the company. So they're usually good investments to have. And I happened to have stumbled upon this book in a bookstore, and I wanted to just see, because this person seems to have a skeptical view about modern luxury brands. So maybe there's, maybe some of them that I can find that are going to fail and maybe short them or something. But yeah, this is an interesting book that will help me with investing. The Israeli Lobby and U.S. Foreign Policy. This I thought I had. I guess I didn't. I haven't read it, obviously, because I just bought it. But it's a very popular book. And I guess I'm reading it a bit too late. It was published a long time ago. And I guess it's still relevant to read. It's probably good to know just in terms of like understanding history. Yeah, I believe this book, I think it just covers APAC, right? I don't know. So they got this book. The Empire of Cotton, A New History of Global Capitalism. So I've seen this book in the bookstore twice now, and I don't know why this time I decided to get it. Maybe because I'm reading someone's Joseph Stiglitz, and Stiglitz is so pro-globalization, but anti how globalization is currently being done, and he wishes it was more democratic and fair, and not basically something that only benefits major Western nations that have large economies. Also, I think this one has it focuses on cotton, and so many people have debates about the slave trade in America and about the economic impact of cotton on America. A lot of people have very strong opinions about the role that slavery played in developing America's foundations. And I often find people actually don't have robust claims around that topic. They have very loose claims. So I was hoping that this author has a lot more robust argument around that topic. I'm hoping to find that in here. So yeah, I guess I got this because of Stiglitz. I was reading Stiglitz and he made me a lefty, I guess. I don't know. Shocks, crises, and false alarms. This I got because basically there's all these people talking about crashes coming and overvaluations, and like people talking about like the Buffett indicator and the Shiller indicator and so on and so forth, right? Like the Buffett indicator just measures the total market cap compared to GDP. The Shiller indicator is a lot more convoluted, but it's the same idea. And I wanted this book just to put me in the headspace of analyzing macro variables and seeing how they're going to impact individual companies, right? That's all this is for. It's very simple, not a long book. Some few graphs that are very easy to understand. There's no technical math in here. Although if you were going to analyze these graphs, you would need more robust math. But I mean, they're pretty straightforward in terms of visual understanding. Don't need like Riemann sums or something. Yeah, so I got that book for this reason. We'll see how it goes. Doesn't seem like a super technical book, but it does seem like a good one. This next one, Unsettled Accounts. The Evolution of Banking in the Industrialized World Since 1800. So I've always had an interest in the history of finance and the history of money, but now I'm getting really vested in the history of banking because I started studying banking from a perspective of wanting to understand the financial statements inside banks and understanding how accounting practices, whether it's the GAAP or IFRS, applies to banks. So I also own banks in my portfolio. And so I wanted to get a better understanding, and I picked up a banking textbook, and now I just have this urge to more thoroughly understand banks. Like it's a bit weird, actually. I just have a deep urge to understand like the history of banking and also how banks are managed on a day-to-day. So I got this book, and this book actually seems like a gem. It seems like someone's like PhD thesis almost. This is a good book. Another book I got on this topic was The Principles of Banking. So I wanted another textbook, and I always go to Wiley Finance for textbooks. And so I got this one. I also have other books like the Oxford Handbook of Banking and the Oxford Handbook of Financial Regulations and so on and so forth. But I wanted more because I have like a really, really deep yearning to study banking. It's kind of weird. This book is pretty actually straightforward as well. There's not a lot of math in here. I was expecting a lot of math. Like this is, I think, the most complex math you're going to have. And this math looks more complex than it actually is, right? Whenever you're doing statistics, things just look more complex than they actually are. Not that complex. Yeah, most of the stuff in here is just arithmetic or basic statistics. It's fine. Yeah. So this is actually a surprisingly easy book. Yeah, I was expecting like mathematical economics or something. The next book and the last book on this list is International Capital Markets. So basically, this is just like, again, financial regulation stuff. I think it was the banking topic that got me interested in this, but also there's a lot of debate with like Joseph Stiglitz in his books about how things should be designed in terms of regulation for international institutions. And I thought this would be a fun book to read. Like just, I don't know, maybe set it aside on a week where I'm not going to do any finance or something and just read this. Basically, this person, I believe, I don't know if they're a lawyer, but they go over different legislation and how it applies to different countries. So Canada, Chinese, the European Union legislation. They talk about different legislation, and they're trying to, I believe, propose better systems for international capital markets. I believe that's what the thesis of this book is. Yeah, market institutions and international capital markets. Yeah. Okay, so this is how it is right here. This is like basically his grand conclusion, I think, this part right here. Yeah, it's not too long of a book either. And I imagine, I might need like a reference book for the legislation if he doesn't like show it inside. Maybe I'll use like a legal dictionary or something. No, I'll just use Google or ChatGPT. It's fine. Yeah. So this is the last book I got, and it seems like an also pretty fun book. So those are the books that I got. I'm really into like I said, banking and financial regulation recently, but mostly banking. If you have any suggestions for me, you guys I think some of you suggested things on Instagram that I looked up, and those are good. But if you guys on YouTube have anything to suggest, I'm open for suggestions. And with that being said, bye-bye.